about Sword Art Online. Now, here in specifically what we're going to be talking about in Sword Art Online is the women of Sword Art Online, because as you guys know, the main couple in this show is Kirito and Asuna, the two lovers that have been together ever since, meeting in the second episode. They've been together since then. Now, this one, we're going to take a look at something completely differently. We're going to be taking a look at the other girls in SAO. And we're going to be seeing that had Kirito and Asuna not seen each other and not married each other in the game and not met each other in the game, who would have been the second best choice? It's going to be the one that he met, I believe, right after Asuna, and that is Silica. Silica is a very underutilized character, underappreciated character, because she kind of, from the moment that they met, she kind of wanted to stand on her business. She didn't really like other people telling her what to do. She was in a group where basically they were just taking advantage of her just because of the fact of what she can do as a person. And then she left the guild, and then she met Kirito as she was getting attacked. She thought she was gonna die. Her animal Pina ended up dying, and the whole episode basically turned into just alright, Kirito's with Silica. He's gonna go get this lead that can bring Pina back to life. And by the end of the episode, Silica finds out Kirito is well known throughout the game, and he's a solo player due to what happened with Sachi before. But still, Silica and Kirito's dynamic is basically kind of like a brother-sister type of situation. I mean, even Kirito said he sees Silica as a version of his little sister that we will find out later on in the next part. But still, Silica is just not really one of the options I would ever consider him to be with for her to be with Kirito, just for the simple fact that he sees her as a brother, he sees her as a sister to him. So when it comes to that, the next girl after we meet Silica is going to be Lisbeth. Now, this one is an interesting dynamic because they kind of have an old married couple type of vibe, but not on the same point of where you can see the others when it comes to this. Now, obviously, when it comes to Lisbeth, he meets her as he goes to make a new sword that he can have during his battles. And they go through a whole thing, and he breaks her best sword. He promises to go get her material that can build a better sword, a sword that is perfect for him. They have this whole arc, going to a dragon's den to find dragon's poop. I know, it's kind of funny when I think about it. And then they actually kind of have a moment together. Lisbeth starts to see Kirito as a person. Kirito is saying you shouldn't let others judge you. I will always like you for who you are. It's kind of the main character saying what a main hero would say to a girl that is depressed or anything like this. And then Kirito and they ended up spending the night together. She asked him to hold her hand for the night, and as they wake up in the morning, Kirito finds what they were looking for, and as the dragon is coming back down because it's a nocturnal animal, they end up escaping. Kirito runs up, stabs the sword into the dragon. They fly out, and as they're falling, we kind of have a moment where Lisbeth is telling Kirito, "Hey, don't take this the wrong way, but I may be in love with you." And Kirito's like, "Huh? I couldn't hear you." And then Lisbeth's like, "Never mind." But then Lisbeth ultimately comes out to find out that he already has eyes for another girl, and that is her best friend Asuna in the game. And then she kind of has a moment where she kind of feels depressed, but then Kirito goes to talk to her. He did all this. He went to the top of the map to go find her and find out where she was hiding. And then she makes him promise to be his number one blacksmith. I forgot what she was. She's a blacksmith. And Kirito promises. They also promise to keep Kirito's second sword a secret, which ends up coming to fruition because Kirito had to use the second sword to save him and Asuna and Klein when they were fighting a boss battle when it comes to that. But that is Lisbeth. And Lisbeth, I say this right now, she's probably the third best option when it comes to who I think is the fourth best option. We're kind of going in order who's the best option. So that's Lisbeth. The next one we're gonna meet is kind of gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird. I can't even lie to you. because in Sword Art Online terms, they're not technically family, but in technically terms, they're cousins, and that is Suga, otherwise known as Lifra, from Sword Art Online Alpine, the Alpine edition. And Suga and Kirito's character dynamic is just, Suga likes Kirito, but she doesn't want to say anything because they're supposed to be family, but they're not really family. It's kind of a whole bunch of things, but she's always there to protect him. And throughout Alpine, she's over here helping Kirito, not knowing that's her brother, not knowing that's her cousin slash brother in the real world, helping him to like find Asuna. And then it always comes to a culmination point where she finds out that Kirito is actually her cousin, and she ends up having like a moment where she's like, I can't believe you lied to me, like I fell in love with this kid, I fell in love with Kirito, and I like my cousin in real life. It's kind of just really weird when it comes to this, but still, I'm going to say this. I actually give Lifra the second best chance to be with Kirito. I'm not gonna lie about that. And that's really weird because it's just a weird dynamic between them two, because like I said, they're not family, but they're technically are family. Suga's parents really adopted Kirito as one of their own. So I guess at most they're cousins, but still it's just really, really weird, but we're gonna move past that. And then we have what I believe to be the best choice, the second best choice for Kirito. The one that reminds me of him and Asuna is him and Sinon. Yes, you heard me right. Sinon is the second best choice for Kirito if he did not meet Asuna. And is there any reason why? Asuna's, like, the type of personality that Asuna has, in a way, is just like Sinon. And it kind of makes sense that Sinon and Asuna hit it off so well. Don't you pick up on that? Don't you realize how of a coincidence that is? That Sinon and Asuna hit it off straight off? Because they're both basically the same type of person. They both are feisty, but yet shy, but yet lovable, that will honestly care for Kirito. And they both have their fiery side that Kirito, is officially afraid of them. Because when it comes to GGO, when Sinon finds out Kirito is actually a boy in the real world, she starts treating him like this. But you could also see that she's going through a whole bunch of different things, and they kind of trauma bond together. Asuna and Kirito have kind of a trauma bond together now. It's kind of like they gave Sinon and Kirito a trauma bond before they gave after they gave Asuna and Kirito a trauma bond. Because let's not forget, Asuna's trauma happened in Alpine. Kirito's trauma happened in Sword Online, so they have a trauma bond together. And then when it came to GGO, Sinon had a past trauma from before she met Kirito, and then as she met Kirito, Kirito has his trauma before he met Sinon. So they kind of have a trauma bond together. And it's just like the characters between Asuna and Sinon are just very similar in terms of their personalities. I can just see the best choice. Like if Kirito were to be able to have a second wife, I feel like out of all of them, the second choice he would definitely choose. And this is going to be a controversial topic or a hot take. I don't really know if it's going to be a hot take or not. But if Kirito were to have a second wife or second girlfriend, Asuna were to allow this shit, it'd be Sinon. Why? They get along so well. They hit it off straight away. Asuna even has her own name for Sinon called Sinanon. But yeah, Sinon is my second best choice for Kirito, and Sinon is the best. I could say this for a simple certain standpoint. If Asuna hadn't been in Sword Art Online, Kirito would end up with Sinon. I can't even lie to you. Even though they go to different schools, I can still see Kirito acting the same way he would have done for Sinon, the way he acts for Asuna, due to the amount of trauma that they've had, and if they got to spend more time together, then it would just been good. If I had to say a third option, I would actually put Lifra up there, just because him and Lifra just have spent so many time together. They already know each other so very well, so Lifra would be my third choice. But I want to say an honorable mention before I leave this to here. My honorable mention is going to be Sachi. Because let's not forget, before he even got with Asuna, Sachi was the one that he liked. And if Sachi hadn't died, it would have been very interesting to see how Kirito would have acted if Sachi was still alive and then he had met Asuna. Would he still have married Asuna? We'll never know.